And the
Say it
biggest
again. There's too much what?
too much month at the end of the money.
Woo.
All right, put your headphones on, woman. We got lots to talk about.
Okay. Should we start?
Yeah, give me the cheese maze.
Hello and welcome to Hello Haymarket, the podcast where we help you build wealth through real estate. I keep looking down. It doesn't matter. No one's gonna know.
It's okay. We're probably gonna post
Yes.
God damn, brain fart.
Hello.
We're gonna post the bloopers, anyways, probably, because the whole point of this, all of you out there, is to remind you that we are in real estate,
Gosh, my face
and we
looks so
know
bad.
a lot about real estate.
Because we are real estate agents, homeowners, and investors in the Northern Virginia area.
That's right. But if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest anywhere around the country, let us know, because we are a part of the major network of kind of like our business partners all over the country. So we just had one of our people close on a house in Tennessee, and they were very happy with the agent that we hooked them up with locally, and we can do that for you too. So
Yeah.
all you got to do is give us a call. Consultations are free, but we do appreciate good reviews.
Okay, so let's just jump in. So for today's episode, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a 2020 recap.
Yeah. So where do you want to start on a recap?
I guess, I don't know, should we talk about our 2022?
Okay, so 2022 was a breakout year for us. We finally, as a household, were able to make over six figures. Obviously, we took a lot of deductions and such, but before deductions, it was like $120K in terms of actual income for us, which made us very happy. In terms of volume, we definitely did over $10 million of real estate buying, selling, investing, which was great. It started off slow. First and second quarter were a little bit slow because we mostly work with buyers. Mm-hmm. We did help several sellers sell last year, but primarily we work with buyers. And as anyone in the market would tell you, it was a cutthroat market for the first half of the year last year. Yeah. Now, the second half of the year, things way slowed down, and we were able to get all of our buyers, for the most part, who had been sitting on the sidelines, who weren't able to compete or weren't willing to compete, and they were able to jump in that second half of the year and definitely make a killing. Now, with that said, it wasn't impossible to buy in the first half. You just needed to know how, and we were able to help a lot of people do it then as well. I remember one of the deals that I had in February, I will probably never forget, because everything possible that could have gone wrong went wrong, and we still got them across the finish line, right?
We carried it through.
I mean, it's like everything that could go wrong did go wrong, right? There was problems during home inspection. There was problems during... I had definitely a huge title issue we can talk about later with a different deal that we had to navigate. There was like quitting the job, firing the lender. There was like everything that would make it difficult to close that transaction. But we got through it through a lot of teamwork, a lot of experience, and honestly, just a lot of communication. Right?
There was also a purchase of a car.
There was a car purchase in that one too?
Wasn't there?
I don't remember that.
The one in February?
Yeah. No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I don't think there was a car purchase in that one. There could have been. Maybe I just blacked it out, but...
I think there was, because it was the same person that fired the lender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or tried to, just like they tried to quit their job. So there was a lot of things that happen in life, a lot of challenges, and there are ways of navigating it if you understand the consequences of your choices. And so sometimes you don't have to be the one who knows everything. You just have to know people who do, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I'm filing my taxes this year, I don't have to be the one who understands the tax code, 100%. I can know the basics of it, and then I can hire an expert. Whenever I am sitting down in a room of people, I want to be the most knowledgeable in only my one area of expertise. And in any other area, I want those people to be smarter than me. Otherwise, why am I in the room with them, right? I would like my CPA to know taxes better than me. I would like my lawyer to know law better than me. I need to know enough about each of these areas to be dangerous, but not enough to, I don't need to be the Renaissance man that speaks 18 languages. Like, I can do enough business in one.
I feel like that's where I benefit from a lot of these conferences or any of the team meetings at all. Or just being with you, frankly. I'm not the smart one, you are, and I can just absorb all of the information that I'm taking in from everybody else.
Yeah, and that's how you want to do it, right? I mean, you just want to be really, really, really competent in your one area, right? And then outside of that, let other people do their part. For example, when we're doing this podcast today, I don't know how to set up this rig. I don't know how to get the Hello Haymarket thing to play up there. That's not my bag. I can be the one who flaps my gab and talks a lot.
You do talk a lot.
I do, and I love it.
Which is why we created this podcast. I mean, that's always the reason why I say we created a podcast, so Daniel can have a platform to talk.
Yeah, my mentor, Matt, if you're out there, thanks again for everything you've done for me, and hopefully we'll continue to do. I would like to be in business with you for a very long time. He told me at the very beginning of me jumping into this industry that all you need to do to be successful in real estate is know what to say and say it to enough people, right? Because that's basically what a realtor does. They are there to shepherd you through the transaction from beginning to end, because we do this all day, every day. And the average person out there only touches real estate once every 5 to 7 years. And a lot can change in 5 to 7 years. So having someone who is able to hold your hand through that process and make sure that you are not missing any crucial steps is just absolutely critical, right? For most people, a real estate transaction is the biggest decision that they will ever make. That, well, aside from choosing your lovely partner, of course, your spouse will be a bigger deal. But in terms of like a financial transaction, the real estate is the top. So you don't want to make a mistake there. And the only way that you will know how to avoid those mistakes is by having around you an expert who is experienced and whose experience is current. And that's what I have to say about that. Cool. So yeah, last year we did a great job. It was a breakout year for us. Did the most business we've ever done, and we also bought real estate.
Yep, we bought our first house.
That's right, our own first piece of real estate, and that has been wonderful. We love it, and we're ready to turn that into an investment property and move out and move into a larger property this year. Yeah. Is our goal, because now that we have a young one on the way, I don't know if anyone knows that, but we have Elize is pregnant, and
just a subtle Elize is pregnant.
Yeah.
We're expecting.
Well, because I want to build a big life, but the biggest way to build a big life is to add more people to it.
Yeah, have a big family.
And the big family is definitely my major goal. You know, so we were watching Moana recently.
Not just.
I promise this is related. And in one of the songs in that movie, Moana sings about how, her ancestors were voyagers, and now she's gone farther than they have, right?
Oh, spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, if you haven't, everyone's seen Moana by now. If you haven't seen Moana, go see it. It's a pretty good movie. And what I liked about that, what I connected with, is this idea that, I am the descendant of a long line of people throughout history who have fought and struggled and made it through and passed the torch to the next generation. Yeah. And I don't want to break that line here with me. I don't want to be the guy who breaks that line. I want to procreate. I want to have a lot of kids. I want to have a big family. And when I am old, I want to be able to look on not just a portfolio of properties.
Oh, gosh.
I want to look at the smiling faces of my children and grandchildren. That's what's going to be important to me. So that's the legacy I want to build. And real estate, it just happens to be a vehicle through which I can ensure that comes to pass.
Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I've always wanted kids. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know if I was going to get married, but turns out we got married. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
something else we did in 2022.
I don't think anyone knows that. Yeah, we got married in December 2nd, 2022.
Yep. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing. But as far as...
Depends on what you mean by that.
Planning was, but we'll get back to that. Mm-hmm. But as far as kids, I've always wanted kids, and I always knew that I was going to marry rich, quite frankly.
I guess by worldwide standards, so maybe I make that cut. Yeah. Not by Northern Virginia standards, by any means.
Yeah, but still, it's a very proud moment when you can say, we cleared 6 figures.
Yeah, finally.
and that's not to be bragging. It's more so of we've worked hard to get to where we are, and we're very thankful of all the people that have helped us and guided us to get here. But it's an accomplishment that we're proud of, and one of the ways we did it was through real estate.
And again, shout out to Matt. I know it's going to make you embarrassed that I keep mentioning you, but one of his goals was to help me get to 6 figures. Right? When we have our business meetings, it's like, all right, what are our goals for the year? That was one of our goals, was to clear 6 figures, and we did it. So thank you, Matt.
Yeah. So it just shows what you can do if you choose real estate or become a real estate agent.
And by the way, we worked with a lot of investors last year, right?
Yeah.
I know there was one investor who had a very clearly defined buy box. He knew exactly the boundaries of where he wanted to buy. It was very tightly controlled. It wasn't just one neighborhood. It was only one part of one neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now, it was a very large community, so there was a lot of houses in that area that were up for sale. And we were able to get multiple deals done last year for him. And that's just, again, a testament to being clear, right? When you make your world small, you can make your world large.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we worked with last year, one of the biggest challenges was getting them to narrow their vision.
Yes.
Freedom is on the other side of discipline, right? In order to actually take action and to move forward, you have to have a clear destination of where you're going, right? It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland when they have the cat and Alice is asking for directions and the cat's like, well, where are you going?
Yeah.
Because she's like, which way should I go? And he's like, well, where are you trying to go?
Yeah.
And she says something like, well, I'm not sure where I want to go. And then he's like, well, then it doesn't much matter which way you go.
Yeah.
So same thing happens with people who are not clear on what they're doing with their life. I'd say, as a starting point, own where you live, right? It doesn't mean that you're locked into that place. You could rent it out and leave, or you could sell it and leave. I was talking to a client. Elize and I took them out to one of our favorite spots out there, by the way. They're not paying us for this, but Crossroads in Manassas, that place is awesome. It's a tabletop tavern. So it's like a board game place with it's restaurant food, right? And took a couple of our clients out to eat there, former clients. We'd helped them buy a house back in 2020. And they're in the unfortunate position now where they need to sell again, most likely. I'm going to try to see if we can hold on to it as an investment property, but if not, they're most likely going to sell. And, only holding a property for like 2 years, there's a lot of concern there that maybe they're going to take a loss. That's a common concern that a lot of people have. And normally, I would say that's what would happen.
Yeah.
But we looked at the numbers for their property, and they would probably clear 6 figures of profit off of that property, which is just shocking. Now,
Just in 2 years.
Just in 2 years. But that's because, A, they're in a highly appreciating market here in Northern Virginia, and they just had through one of the highest appreciation cycles ever because of the insane levels of money printing that has been going on in this country. So inflation and being in the right location both played a role, but I cannot think of a decision that they could have made in 2020 that would have been as beneficial as just owning where they lived. Because I met them expecting that they were going to rent, right? Mm-hmm. That was how I met them, was that they were going to be a tenant.
Yeah.
And I just asked them, like, hey, would you even consider buying, right?
Fidgeting. I had to stop myself. I was fidgeting too.
Yeah. But that decision, it could be a life-changing decision for some people, right? For a lot of people, that's like 1 or 2 years of wages total, before tax.
Yeah.
So just understanding that is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show that, like, real estate is definitely a way to build wealth. Whether you're an agent, whether you're just purchasing a house for yourself or you're investing.
Yeah.
Like, it's an incredible tool that I feel like I didn't know about it when I was young.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. I had the great benefit of being the son of a man who had invested in properties before, right? I spent my whole life growing up in just one house, which is a rather large house in Fairfax,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
thought it was normal.
It's a mansion. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was normal. I didn't realize, like, dude, this is a crazy, crazy house. Like, in the right year, it's probably worth $1 million or something.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was just normal. And he took me to a bunch of his starting houses that he started off with. And, once I became an adult and it was time to kind of build my own thing, I realized, like, oh my God, you got to make like 6 figures just to afford a 2-bedroom apartment for rent out here on your own. Like, it is crazy.
I mean, I grew up in my earlier years, we were in a 1-bedroom condo. It was me, my mom, my dad, and our cat at the time. And then, eventually we got to move into a single family house, and that was a pretty big deal. I remember crying because I was like, oh no, like this is the only place I've known.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, for anyone out there listening who is trying to find a way out of a bad situation where you are not moving forward financially in your life, obviously the best thing you could do is change your 9 to 5. You need to get into a job that makes more money.
Yeah.
But the next best thing you can do is owning the house that you live in. Even if you have to take a major step down in lifestyle, it will be worth it because now you can just rinse and repeat every couple of years. You can just move out of that into a new one, acquiring these rental properties, and it is going to accelerate your wealth building tremendously. Because for the average American, roughly a third of their overall budget is for housing costs. And if you can turn that into a piggy bank instead of an expense, it is life-changing, right? Because most people try to fix their problem by either budgeting like crazy, which is important. You got to control your expenses, but saving a Starbucks a day is not going to change your life, right? Versus some other people, they try to fix it by getting 2 or 3 more jobs, which is now going to cost you your health.
Yeah, and your time.
Yeah, and your time. Owning where you live is not going to cost you your time at all, right? And it's not going to cost you your health like that. It's just while you're sleeping, you're building equity.
Yeah. I know there is a lot of concern about that, though, because a lot of people are like, I can't afford to buy a house. Like, how do I even start?
If you can afford rent, you can afford to buy a house.
But what if your credit is like, not that
There
great?
are programs that are designed specifically to help people who don't think they can buy a house to buy a house. That's their whole point, is to help you. Yes, you, the one who thinks you have poor credit, the one who thinks that you don't make enough money. There are programs that are going to help you buy a house. You need to reach out and talk to somebody and find one that works for you.
Yeah. Or just talk to, like, someone who's kind of gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, there's ways to play this game faster, right? There just are.
Yeah.
If you want to play the game faster, you can either get a job in the industry, which is going to mean that you're earning while you're learning, and that's what we did, which is definitely accelerating our journey.
That's what we're doing.
That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if you are willing to be uncomfortable, and not everyone has this luxury. Some people have young children. They can't take the risk of renting out roommates or what have you. But if you are in a situation where you could rent out rooms, you could not just buy a house, but then you could rent out the rooms, and then those people renting out the rooms are paying for your mortgage, which means not only is your housing budget turned into a savings, like a piggy bank, but you're not even the one filling it. And you have all that money left over now that you could use towards other things. You could pay down debts. You could use it towards, you decide what's right for you.
Yeah.
But the biggest hump people have is that there's too much month at the end of their money. And the
Say it
biggest
again? There's too much what?
too much month at the end of the money.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. So, and one way to fix that is stop spending so much. And the biggest expense number one is housing, and then the second biggest one is going to be transportation, and we can talk about that too.
I think one of the other reasons why people don't take action is because they don't know how or where to start. And going back to your whole, it's called house hacking, what Daniel was describing, and we have episodes on that.
Yeah.
That you can refer back to.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, I think it's just knowing where to start, when to start, how to start. And we hope that we can kind of help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the best time to buy real estate was, 30 years before you were born. But the next best time is immediately. Right. And again, your goal is going to be to hold on to that property for as long as possible. Leave a legacy for your kids. Let your kids deal with it. Right.
Yeah.
Own it your whole life. You pay. Well, if you're living there, you'll be paying it down, the mortgage. But as soon as you're ready to move out, your tenant will be paying your mortgage for you until that 30 years is up. And then at the end of those 30 years, now you're renting it out and it is just cash in your pocket. Just imagine someone else's rent payment going to pay for whatever it is you need it for.
And
right?
not just that, you're also providing housing for them.
Yeah. Remember, that meme where people are saying the rent is too damn high? Well, the rent is too damn high because there's not enough housing.
Yeah.
And the more people purchase housing, the more demand there is, which you need there to be enough demand in order for them to be able to afford to build new housing, right? So by you purchasing housing and renting it out, you are helping the overall supply of housing increase. That's how that works.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Going
Right.
back to what you said earlier about leaving a legacy for your kids. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to buy these investment properties so that our kids are able to have that when they grow up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an excellent case in point for them. The education is really why I want to do it.
Yeah.
I mostly just want them to this is not for you to live in.
No.
You can take the rent that you collect from this and use it as a rent for you to rent somewhere if you decide to do that. I can't control your life, but we're definitely going to need to exercise some dead hand control, put it in a trust.
What's that?
Dead hand control is where they don't own anything outright. It's going to be in a trust, and the rules of the trust will govern how they can use what's in the trust. So it's a way of saying, hey, look, I worked for 30 years to get this house. You are not going to make a bad decision and ruin it overnight.
Yeah.
Here are the rules,
Yeah.
you know. So that's definitely something that I want to put in there because I don't want to create something that will spoil and destroy my kids. I want something that will educate and support my kids.
Yeah, I think part of that is just the education. Like, I didn't get a lot of financial education growing up. Like, that wasn't really a thing. You know, all I knew from my parents was, all right, you need to get a good paying job. That way you're not struggling like mommy and daddy are.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always looked at and thought of. Now,
The problem with that philosophy of getting a good paying job is that it requires you to work. And what happens if you're sick? What happens if you want to be there to raise your children?
yeah,
Are you,
I didn't really.
Are you going to go to a corporate 9 to 5 in order to collect a paycheck so that way you can pay the babysitter to raise your child?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was one of my concerns where it's like, I don't want to have to be the breadwinner. I don't want to have to be the one that's absent in my children's lives. I want to be the one that's actually there to take care of them and raise them and be there for them.
Yeah, and for anyone out there who wants to be a realtor specifically so you can earn and learn at the same time, it is really common for there to be husband-wife duos in this business, partly because there are a lot of things in the business that require you to be physically present, but there's a lot of things that don't, that can just get done at home.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we can have a fairly traditional setup where I, as the man, can go out and hunt, but when I come home, my wife is the one actually raising the kids, and she can still work and she can still earn an income, but she can do it in a time that fits her schedule when she's able to get around to it.
Yeah, which is what I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll talk more about working with your partner in a future episode.
Yeah, for sure. I think we talked a lot in this episode. Are we done? So, but in recap, last year, got married, got pregnant, hit 6 figures, bought our first real estate. Anything else? Go watch Moana. and visit Tabletop. Yeah, Crossroads Tabletop Tavern.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. This has been Dan Nyce and Elize Hill. Nice.
Elize Hill, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to get used to that.
All right. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.